Well, thank you very much for joining us. Like the rest of the footy world, we woke up this morning to some really very sad and stunning news, to be honest, regarding Phil Walsh. And the Port Adelaide family is has had a great relationship with Phil Walsh. He's made a tremendous contribution to our club over 10 years in 2 different stints. Our thoughts and prayers are with Meredith and his family. We are providing as much support as we can to our own playing group. There's been a variety of reactions from the players. Some of them are a little older and had experience with Phil in his first stint with Port Adelaide, and some of the younger boys are in the midfield and had a lot to do with him last year. So there's a bit of a variety of reactions, but there's just an overall sadness in regards to the whole situation. We're thinking about the Adelaide Football Club. We're familiar with what they're going through. I spoke to Andrew Fagan this morning, first thing, and offered our full support, and we'll do whatever we can to help them through it. It's a very difficult time, so I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Do you feel it was the right decision to cancel the Crows game at the weekend?
Without question. There's just no way. We know how we're feeling, and I can only imagine how the Adelaide players are feeling, and it's a sign of genuine respect for Phil and what he's done. So yeah, there was no question at all. That was the right call.
Can you tell us what Walsh has done for the Port Adelaide Football Club?
Phil was a unique personality. He brought a great intellect to the coaching profession, great passion. You think about coaches and the relationship they have with players. They are highly influential on the way in which these young guys develop into men, and he played that role, and so he has had a profound effect on certainly not only our club and the Port Adelaide the Adelaide club, all of the clubs that he's been involved with. So he was involved in our premiership in 2004. He was Mark Williams' right-hand man. Enormous influence. For most of his career, he was in that assistant role. So he's probably one back, if you like, out of the glare. But you can't underestimate the influence these guys have, and certainly Phil had with the people that he was working with.
Keith, you mentioned the players are in different stages at the moment, in this early stage, and you mentioned sadly that you've had to deal with tragedy in the past. What support will be offered to the players this week? Yeah, so we're unfortunately pretty well drilled in the way this tends to play out. Every player will react differently, as I said, and at different times. We find that it comes in waves, the way in which you feel about these things, and so we have the AFL provide psychological support and grief counsellors, and we have our own that we've used in the past, and the way that we do it is that we think the most effective way is sticking together. The football clubs and teams provide a unique environment for these guys to look after each other, and we'll just go on a care watch now for the next few weeks and make sure everyone's getting through it okay. Was it a case of waking up in Sydney for the players to the news this morning and to the staff, or how did it sort of unfold?
Yeah, no, I got a call from a mutual friend at about just before 7, and then Andrew Fagan rang me about 7:30. And I think the reaction was just, we were stunned by it. One, by the fact that that it was Phil, but also the circumstances are just tragic. And so we're a great family club, and we're feeling for the family.
Can you comprehend the level of tragedy that's happened in this state in the past 12 months?
I've been thinking a lot about that, and I don't know what the cumulative effect of these things is, but personally, I was thinking a lot about Jason. Jason, who it was a good result, but 3 weeks ago we were faced with a very difficult situation there. Adelaide have dealt with the Dean Bailey situation and John J. Mack. It seems like a lot, people are very resilient and will deal with it, but I don't know. It feels to me like there are a few heavy blows.
How do you believe the players are feeling this morning? Are they coping okay so far?
Yeah, they cope. They cope differently. We will encourage them to stick together. We'll meet more regularly than we already do. Thankfully, we're in season, so that's a natural occurrence. Really, we're thinking a lot about the Adelaide boys. We have a relationship with Phil. He's their coach, and we've reached out to a few of them already, and they're going to go through some very tough days.
I guess the whole of the AFL will be feeling this loss, not just South Australia or Crozier.
No, I think Phil's had a long career and he's touched a lot of clubs, and I think everyone has a great empathy when these sorts of things happen. And I'm certain that the industry will, as usual, react really, really well. We're very sad. We're very sad.
Keith touched on being a family club. Been a lot of gestures of people leaving scarves and Guernseys out as a sign of respect. Also, bought Guernseys.
Yeah.
How warming is that the entire football community comes together?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I've seen one in particular, and under the Flyers one banner, and how great is that?
Is there any way to move on? How do you move on from here?
You do move on. We'll probably move on quicker than Meredith is going to be able to, obviously, and we're going to be very conscious of that.
Will your club specifically be paying any tribute to Phil Walsh at this stage?
I have no doubt we will. We'll be talking to Adelaide about that. I don't know what that looks like. I remember when we were working with the McCarthy family. It was very much. It was how you felt, and the timing of that was. It felt right, when we did it, and right now nothing feels right. So we won't do anything until it does, and we'll contemplate it. But I'm sure that there'll be opportunities to do that as we go forward.
Mark Rachel, the Coaches Association, probably while you were in the air, described it as just unprecedented. Would you agree with that? It's just.
Well, that was my very first reaction. Was I can't recall a scenario like this, and the complexity around it, the impact on the family, on the competition, on a club. I may be wrong, but it felt that way to me.
You may be looking too far ahead, but I remember Phil earlier this year talking with such passion about the showdown and how it just beat everything else out of the water. Is that potentially somewhere that you can look at in paying tribute?
Well, that's the obvious point in the calendar. It feels too soon today. 2 weeks is a long time, but we'll work on that. But again, we'll be guided by Adelaide on this. They've got a lot to deal with over the next few days, and these things will come through. But it's hard to think about those things right now.
It must be heartening to see Power fans go pay tribute at the Crows Club rooms as well.
Yeah. that is heartwarming. There are things that transcend the natural rivalries, and this is one of them. Phil was was a loved member of our family as well, and they're nice gestures. It's an appropriate thing to do.
Is there? You spoke of how much of a unique man he was. Is there one moment that you sort of remember in your time with him that stands out?
Yeah, he was unique in that he brought a different line of thinking to most situations. To be honest, he was very intense, very passionate. We tried to get Phil back, from Trevor Nisbet won't be happy with this, but I was trying to get him for about 2 years, and when he finally came back, it was such a, he's such a, how can I describe it? He has just such an intensity, and yet there was a humour behind it as well, and I was just sort of reflecting on how difficult it had been to get him to come home, and he brushed me off as if I was being an idiot. But there's too many. I can't really recall this. There's too many. There's one-liners. There's his natural style was really the thing that I remember. Is just a great intensity and passion for the game, and he made you feel inadequate most days, to be honest.
And adding to this, he finally got his shot at the
you know what?
He was showing the football world who he was, and
you know what? To my great discomfort, I thought he was flourishing in the role. When he went across, I wondered about that transition in from great assistant to senior coach. Given that the conversations that we'd had, it wasn't a burning ambition for much of his career. That changed, I think, after that near-death experience that he had. But he was thriving in this role. He was embracing the club and the media, and he was bringing a lot to the game. I think in that very short amount of time, he showed us what he was and what he could have been.
Are you pleased that the footy world got to see
Yeah,
that?
I absolutely am. That's a great comment. It would have been a great pity for him not to have seen it.
Your job is obviously to take care of the club, take care of the boys, but on a personal level, how do you get home and cope with this when you sit down tonight?
I think. I think you just concentrate on what everyone needs, and our boys need some help.